Alright, good morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Turtly Wild. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about sperm storage. Now some of you might have heard that, you might know what it is. Some of you might not have ever heard that before or heard it but don't know what it is. Sperm storage is simply the ability of a female to store sperm in her reproductive organs, typically in the oviduct area, for use at a later time. Now, it's not just in reptiles and not just in turtles. Lots of organisms can store sperm. Mammals can store sperm. Humans can store sperm. Females can store sperm up to 7 days and it still be viable. Now that's relatively a short period of time for sperm storage in the whole gist of the animal kingdom. Reptiles are known to have the longest sperm storage of major vertebrates. And so you get different variations, like humans, a few days. Crocodiles, they can store sperm within the year of the mating event, whereas squamates, lizards and snakes can do for a few weeks to a couple of years, and turtles can do it for multiple years. They have the capability to store sperm for a very long amount of time. Now, there's evidence that shows the longer the sperm is stored, the less viable the eggs. In other words, fertility rate lowers, hatching success lowers. But if you can't find a mate that year and you have sperm that's stored, you can use that to fertilize your eggs and you can still have reproductive success in a year when you couldn't find a male. So that's one reason why females might store sperm. Is if for some reason they can't find a male, like especially in populations that have been decimated, and there's low density of animals, they can't find a male every year, they can still have eggs based on the sperm that's stored. Another reason might be females or the environment. It's a bad year, not enough rain or too much rain. If they lay the eggs might not hatch out because the incubation conditions aren't right, or maybe they would hatch out, but the conditions would be so poor that the hatchlings wouldn't have a very good chance of survival. If your offspring's not going to survive or have a very good chance, and it's already pretty low, but if it's lower than average, why would a female put herself through the stress of developing eggs and laying them? It takes a lot of energy, and there's health risk involved. So why do it if the chance is going to be low if conditions aren't right? So if the conditions aren't right, a female could store the sperm and use it the following year or subsequent years when you got sufficient rain or it's dry or whatever the conditions might need to be, when conditions are much better and a higher chance for those eggs to hatch and survive. Or maybe this year is great, she breeds, lays eggs. The next year she mates with another male and the conditions are great, and she lays eggs that are sired by two different males. That's going to increase the amount of genetic diversity she has in those offspring. Increased genetic diversity increases the chance her offspring are going to have the genes, a combination of genes that will help them succeed and grow and reproduce and pass on our genes. So it could be environmental conditions aren't right, and so you wait till they are. You can't find a mate, so you use stored sperm. Or you just want to increase the amount of genetic diversity in your offspring to increase this reproductive success. So those are all different reasons why a female might use sperm storage. Now, turtles and crocodilians store the sperm in roughly the same area in the reproductive organs. Squamates use it in a different area. So they're similar but still a little bit different. And they also have done research to find out last in, first out. So in other words, if she mates with a male last year and mates with another male this year, the eggs are first going to be fertilized by the male from this year. Seems like where they store the sperm, it comes out after this year's male sperm has already been used. So if you fertilize the female first, your sperm comes out last and vice versa. So kind of interesting dynamics there. And this guy thinks he's going to get fed. Sorry buddy, I don't have any food for you. Anyways, the whole reason I brought this up, I got distracted looking at all those turtles, was because we have a female Kinixys homeana who was sick, and we had to get her away from, we had to isolate her last year, but she's doing better now. She's all better. There she is. She laid eggs back in June, but had not been with a male in about a year. Well, it's over a year now. When she laid them in June, it had been about 8 to 10 months. She laid 3 eggs and all 3 of them hatched. So it was 100% hatching success on those eggs that came from stored sperm. So that was pretty cool, because typically, like we said, the longer you store the sperm, the lower the hatching success. But it only been 8 to 10 months, and she got 100% hatching success. If it had been another year or two, maybe it would have been half. But we're grateful that she's better, and that even though she wasn't with a male, she still produced eggs this year, and they all hatched out, and they're looking really good. And matter of fact, this is going to be the first episode of sperm storage, and then I'm going to show you the eggs that came from this female, and you can see how cute they are and learn a little bit about how we take care of the hatchlings here, especially for these forest-dwelling species. But this is the female that laid eggs from sperm storage. 3 eggs, all 3 of them hatched out, which is great news for this species, Kinixys homeana. They just upgraded, unfortunately, from vulnerable on the IUCN Red List to critically endangered, because new reports came out and show that these guys are wiped out in their native habitat in a lot of areas. They've done extensive surveys, and they pretty much only find young ones and juveniles. All the adults have been taken. So that's kind of sad. So we're grateful we're able to produce some of these here at Dalton State College. I hope you enjoyed the video, learned something new. Hit me up with any questions, and y'all have a good one.